Hello and welcome everyone, I'm Madals, and today I have got a best of one game coming up. Now, this is from some kind of event, and the reason I know that is because there's lots of people in the game, so it's not a ladder game. Unfortunately, I'm not really quite sure where it came from, and because of that, it's just a standalone game, but yeah, it was from somewhere. If anyone knows, leave it in the comments section below, and I will make sure to update the video title appropriately. And yeah. Let's introduce the two players. Down in the bottom left position, we have got the Red Terran. He is from CM Storm. He is Polt. And his opponent, up in the top left, the blue Zerg player from Team Acer. It's Nerchio. Now, I am really excited about this game because I am a big fan of Zerg versus Terran. I think that it's a really exciting matchup, especially with things like Hellback drops getting really quite into the metagame, and just generally that pressuring drops heavy style with the... It's a lot more mobile, basically, is what I'm trying to say. It's a very action-packed, especially from the Terran side, and then the metagame reaction to that from Zerg is to get out Mutalisk, get out some Banelings and Zerglings, and really try and combat that. And I think it can lead to some really interesting situations, especially with things like the Widow Mine placement, because that's where actually a Zerg player has to be a bit smarter and make sure they've got Overseers, and don't just get a whole ton of Banelings annihilated by one Widow Mine, which I'm sure we have all seen go down many occasion. So, in terms of opening from these two, Polt going for a command center first would appear, and a hatchery first out of Nerchio, because, well, hatchery first, really expected. A command center first should be part of the high ground, and on Belshir, it's a safe thing to do, because, really, there's not much a Zerg player can do to punish you about this, unless they do something a little bit crazy, and even then, it's not great. So, I think this opening from Polt, really solid. He should follow this up with a barracks, well, a barracks somewhere around here. That's all good. And then now it's just a case of macroing up, and macroing up a bit more, because that's where things can start getting a little bit crazy. As I said, mid and late game strategy. Well, mid game, I'm thinking drops are going to play in massively into Polt's style, because yeah, look at this, lots of dead space around, and also a lot of dead space around up here, and that's fun. Dead space coming into the third base as well. Really easy to get that down, but that means Nerchio probably going to get some Mutalisks fairly soon, because Mutalisks have all the same benefits. They also shut down drops really effectively, and that's one of the reasons that they're getting really popular. Now, obviously Refinery is down. This is a very normal opening from Polt at the moment. We should see a factory added on once he's got the gas for it, and then things going to go relatively standard. I like this drone on patrol command, by the way. Nerchio just making sure that any SCV that comes in isn't able to do anything too fishy, too cheeky without getting noticed. So this is a good response from Nerchio, just making sure he's safe early on. He does have his gas taken, and what I'm just keeping an eye out for is whether he mines 100 gas and then pulls the drones, or whether he continues mining gas after that, because it's always a really important thing to see. Probably will pull the drones out, I'd imagine, afterwards, because he'll know that his opponent has got a very quick nexus down, but no, he's going to keep mining it actually. Okay, so one of the benefits of pulling it out, if you know that the command center is down, is that then you can get your third slightly quicker. But Nerchio probably actually going to try and put on a little bit of pain now. He is going to keep mining. Maybe a Rotron, maybe a Baneling Nest. We'll have to keep an eye out for that, but there's the bunker finish, really defensive position there for Polt. The factory also is on its way down, so everything piecing together just as Polt would want. Nerchio, he's going about his normal day-to-day stuff, so he's just relatively happy, just, you know, getting out a bit of gas, getting out some drones, and getting down Zergling speed, which is all Zerg players ever have to worry about early game. And that is not a dig at Zerg players, because I have very recently switched back to playing a lot of Zerg, because I love playing Zerg. It is so fun playing Zerg, really. It's absolutely brilliant. So I'm just gonna go with it, and I made the really fatal mistake while I was casting DreamHack with Jorasar. Between games and in downtime, we decided to play quite a bit, but I couldn't be bothered to keep relogging out of my caster account and then back into like my playing account, which means that my casting account is now placed, and because I haven't played on it in so long, it got placed into Gold League. That's frustrating. And yeah, now because of that, I have to go through and basically work its way back up, which is really quite annoying, but it shouldn't take me too long. It's just the fact that I've now got to play on my casting account lots, because I just can't join a game with like these incredible pro players and things like that. I was in games with StarTale Life, okay, observing games there. I can't join a lobby with Life with an account that's in Gold League. It just isn't right. And it's not because I'm not confident in my ability of the game or my game knowledge or something like that, because I am. The league does not define you. But come on, I've got to get up to a decent level. Which should be fine. I'll be happy if I get my caster account up into like high diamond. I don't need it in masters because yeah, it's my casting account. But gold, not acceptable. Now, anyway, back to this game because I was just waffling with that. We've got the Rotron coming down, the evolution chamber wall off at the natural, which is something I'm such a fan of. Literally every game I do this as Zerg because it's so effective at keeping up pressure. It allows you to macro up pretty nice. The downside to it though is that you don't get the third, and not having that third down is a bit of an issue, especially when your opponent has already got their third orbital command nearly finishing. These Hellions, though, they were a commitment from Polt, just not a big one, and so that's why stopping them doesn't really justify not getting your economy right up into shape. But with the lair coming down, getting scanned there perfectly by the CM Storm player. Now Nerchio is just going to be checking up quite nice. He's got the 1-1 upgrades. A couple of roaches coming out, and now trying to take this third. These roaches are going to be able to shut down the Hellions super effectively. So I'm really liking that. It should be good fun. Now, as we can see here, Widow Mine's being placed down, everything looking good. This back bunker could actually potentially be salvaged now because the wall is complete at the front. So wait to see whether Polt does choose to do that. He's nearly got Stim finished too. Looking up here, we've got, well, for Nerchio, he's just happily sitting up on 4 gases, and once his lair's finished, I would not be surprised to see a Spire thrown down somewhere, just in order to get those Mutalisks down and start really putting on a bit of pressure to his opponent, especially since his opponent isn't really committing to much anti-air. You can see that he's only got 5 Marines and the Widow Mines. That's it. That's the only thing that shoots up for him at the moment. So Mutalisks could be really effective, but Nerchio should be aware of the timings. The other thing I really like is the Spire being put at the natural base, and the reason I think this is a good choice on Belshir is because, as I mentioned earlier, drops with this much dead space around the main can easily get in and snipe off spires in the main bases or key tech structures, whereas the natural is a little bit harder to do that on, and I think that that's a good little bit of kind of like base planning that can pay off quite nicely. In terms of upgrades, 1-1 already finished for Nerchio. He's getting 2-2 on the way. Meanwhile, 1-1 about a quarter done for the Polt. He's getting up missile turrets everywhere too. I don't believe he's actually seen this Spire. No, he hasn't, so hasn't scouted anything like that out as of yet. But Nerchio, he's getting up to all 6 gases. He's also got a handful of speedlings sitting around here. But doesn't have to worry because, yeah, Overlord is sitting there very happily, generating some quick Widow Mines being used to clear that out. But guess what? Now the Zerglings can run in. They can potentially even try and get a snipe off on one of those. Oh, lovely Widow Mine shot there. That Widow Mine getting 12 kills. That is a clever little Widow Mine. Spire nearly finished up. Infestation Pit on its way down too, so this is probably just going to be up for a relatively quick hive. You can also get some infestors out. It does work quite nicely actually against Terran players because with this Biomine styles, fungal growths can be incredibly potent and really lock it down, allowing the Banelings to get some much nicer connections. So, yeah, Nerchio, he's just going to be starting to put on a little bit more pressure now. He needs to look to try and take his 4th base in the near future, especially because this 3rd is down from his opponent. But he knows about that. There's the hive getting started up around the 11-minute mark, so a quick tech up. And the reason that Nerchio can really afford to do that is because his drone count is up at 66, and in terms of losses, he's lost under 500 resources. All of his money is there to spare. He hasn't really had to deal with too much, but the first units are now moving across the map for Polt. But that is not going to worry Nerchio because he's just going to run in with these speedlings. Good reaction time from Polt there. He puts up the supply depots and things looking alright. The Mutalisks are still out on the field. There's only 5 of them, which is not actually a huge number at this stage of the game, but they are going to just come and be able to poke in. The missile tie will really fend them back, but all of these add-ons potentially can just get taken out if there weren't any reinforcements. This is just Nerchio trying to find a good angle of attack where actually he's not going to get picked off. Lots of Marines now are in production. Oh no, the Mutalisks getting taken back into there. We can see that one of them going down. Luckily the other 4 are managing to get away, but still losing a Mutalist for nothing is really not what you want. A factory trying to take a couple of shots there, but all in all, this is just Nerchio not really controlling those as best as he could have done, and not really getting any damage done through them. Polt has only lost 125 resources this entire game. That's pretty impressive. Like, at 12 minutes, that's a ridiculously low amount of stuff lost, and that's only going to mean good things because he's already got his 4th command center in production. But the Ultralisk Cavern now coming down for Nerchio. Massive teching up here from the Acer player who's going straight up against these Hellions. Does take them out, those Mutalisks, and Zerglings doing a good job against those. Centrifugal Hooks is on its way down. Not many Banelings have been seen this game at the moment. And oh, the Widow Mine does get one shot off, but only gets a couple of Zerglings there, not the whole group, which is best for Nerchio because he doesn't want to lose too much there. The supply depot is also going down, a little bit frustrating because while it's not supply blocking Polt, he does have to remake them at some point in the future, but the infantry coming from behind going to try and shut this down. Luckily the Mutalisks do have an escape path for the moment. Zerglings just going to keep map dominance. We can see the creep spread for Nerchio, not massively forward, but starting to get there to the point where it's a little bit problematic. Oh, the Mutalisk getting a couple of kills there. 3 workers have now been killed, and the majority of them were around then. Defensive banelings coming in, as well as a couple of Ultralisks. One thing I would really like to see, though, from Nerchio is to get pathogen glands down, because I think a few infestors late game, fungal growth really locks down the infantry and allows the Ultralisks and banelings to get the maximum effect out of the units. So this is all looking good. Widowmine's getting placed down here. The 4th has been sniped off, and that means now the Polt is on equal basis to the Zerg player, which Nerchio is not going to be too happy about, but he does have his 3/3 upgrades coming down, and kindness plating. So with all of these, his ultras are going to be really, really strong. Upgrade-wise at the moment for Polt, he's only sitting at 1-1, so he could certainly be in a bit of a better spot. We'll have to wait and see what exactly he's going to be able to do. This one lone Ultralisk about to pop out. How does an Ultralisk fit in an egg this small? Well, anyone, are you able to tell me? Yes, there's a little engagement coming over here, but I want to see the Ultralisk pop out, okay? Imagine being a Marine, sitting right here, and then suddenly, as you're just patiently waiting, thinking, not too bad, that pops out. That would freak you the hell out. It really would. It would freak me out. But yeah, anyway. Small little pushes coming across here from Polt. He's just going to try and get into that hatch. He's going to try and put on a bit of pain. Nerchio, I'm not too fearful of him being able to defend this push, but look at what's coming up behind. That is a lot of Marines. Those Marines are about to have 2-2, so it's a 2-2 timing push coming down here. 3-3 not yet done, though, for Nerchio, so this is a good window of opportunity for Polt. Some Widowmines going off. Nice little pickup from those medevacts, but all of these Marines in the center, they're going to get completely surrounded. The banelings do connect. Polt doing nothing about that. That was a meat grinder. At the same time, though, we've got a whole ton of speedlings here at the 3rd. The 4th is now getting besieged by those ultras too, but the drop not doing anything, so Polt just lost all of those Marines effectively for nothing. Incredibly cost effective there by Nerchio, and that's something the Polt is not going to be too happy about. He is unloading these Marines now. Could go and look to push in here, but with Zerglings and Roaches there, I think it could be a bit of a problem, and yeah. That was a pretty big lag spike there from someone, so I apologise for the chat spam, which always occurs when there is a lag spike. The 4th command centre is landed now again. It is going to be morphed into a planetary fortress, which I always think is a good move. 3/3 upgrades done for the Zerg player, and this means that the upgrade advantage is quite solid, but this is a nice little spread of units. The Ultralists need to try and get a lot of surface area. The Marauders dealing some good damage. The Widowmine still getting detonations off. The Banelings get some big hits, but not big enough. The Ultra's now going to go through a tiny little choke of a funnel, which is precisely where Polt wants to engage them, but there is a lot of Ultralisks here, and they are still pushing forward. Meanwhile, there is no 4th base, though, for Nerchio. He's still on those 3 bases, while Polt is up on 4, so that means Nerchio has to deal some incredible damage at the moment. Otherwise, he is going to start getting behind, but he's flooding units. More Ultras on their way in. We have got a huge number of Speedlings and Ultras pushing down into the 3rd base of Nerchio. He's trying to knock out that economy. Will he be able to do it? Will he be able to keep pushing through here? The Ultras are going forward, but just how much can they hope to do when there is this nice little tight ram? The natural base getting decimated for the time being, but these infantry units are just doing so much, just slowly picking apart these Ultras. The 3rd is going to fall. Good little snipe off there from Nerchio, but does he know about the 4th base? No, he doesn't. He is about to discover it, though, with these Ultralisks, and once he sees that, he needs to try and take that out, because if he knocks out this base, then he will still be a base up. The SCVs, though, getting pulled to try and defend this. The infantry coming in. A lot of those Ultras very low. Only 2 remain, and with so many Marauders, these Ultralisks are just taking a considerable amount of fire. Look at this, 4th place for Nerchio. He is still pumping nothing but units. In terms of resources lost, only about, well, literally about 100 resources difference between them. One lone Ultralisk and a couple of Zerglings still trying to push in, but this infantry is going to force them back. Some more Ultras from the side. A couple of Banelings wouldn't go amiss in this composition for Nerchio, but there we go. He's now morphing them in. He wants to try and end this game out. He knows the 4th base is up and knows it's been a planetary for a while, and therefore knows that it actually economically, even after taking out the 3rd and dealing considerable damage to the natural, he is not economically in the lead yet. So he's going to want to try and push this out. And Ultra getting just vaporized there. It exploded from the inside out. That is how hard Marauders hit against Ultras. But the Planetary Fortress is about to feel the might of the Swarm. The Zerglings on their way in. They do get good surface area there. And of course, with the Ultralisks in the mix too, the Planetary Fortress is going to fall. Some big Baneling hits going down on some SCVs. There's the fungal growth, which Nerchio really is going to require to really close off the distance here. But the Ultra count is starting to get a little bit lower. The Banelings starting to get some connections. The Ultras really pushing through here. More Zerglings coming in, reinforcing from the north. But for the moment, Polt is forcing back Nerchio. Nerchio is not able to break this yet, but he has knocked his opponent down onto just 2 bases, and of course his main very low on resources. The 4th up and running for Nerchio. So if we look at the income tab, we can see that things looking good for the Zerg player. All he needs to do is deal with the army supply that's currently down on the field, and he should be in a good spot. But look at that, 118 to just 52 army supply in favour of Polt. He's got these Widow Mines. They're going to keep being really effective and really irritating. Polt, he's got his his 4th backup, mass muling down, trying to get that economy squeezing through. A single Widow Mine there was off cooldown. The hatchery is going to be able to come down. And this is Nerchio just trying to get into the late game. Surprised he hasn't yet morphed in a Great Aspire. It would be a nice little tech switch to come in, but he just doesn't have the money for it at the moment. And there is Polt getting a big win, sniping off that 4th. And yeah, Nerchio not too happy about late game Terran, it would appear, but this is all good because Polt actually getting nice little engagements here. Knocking off hatcheries like that just keep his opponent's economy and production limited. And all while he keeps that, then actually he's got a chance. But if Polt is able to knock down this 4th, well, Nerchio is getting very low at his natural mine out at his main, and his 3rd isn't going to last forever. So economically speaking, Nerchio has got to make sure that he keeps this going. The Ultras are still flowing. The army supply, 132 to just 88. This is something that Nerchio needs to correct very quickly. He needs to start getting that supply advantage. And if he can do that, then yeah, maybe he can engage this, but for the moment Polt has just got such a terrifying force. They do have 3-3 upgrades now too. Nerchio pushing in though towards the 3rd once more. It's not a planetary this time, remember, but there's a big Widow Mine hit on a lot of Banelings. The infantry trying to come in. The rest of the infantry has managed to snipe off the 4th of Nerchio. Nerchio has got to take out this base now, or he will be in a seriously tough spot. The Banelings trying to connect. The SCVs are about to face the might of the Banelings. There's some big hits. 49 workers have been killed, but at the same time, drop coming down at the 3rd of Nerchio. The orbital command is still alive, and that means it can land. Mules can get cooled down, and actually Polt is going to be able to start leveling out the income as long as he keeps this up, because he has knocked out these 4th and 5th bases from the Zerg player. And as long as he keeps doing that, then yeah, he is going to really be in a bit of a tough spot, because, yeah, Polt, if he stays on equal basis, he can keep pushing this forward. He's also got the mules, but he needs to be cooling them down. But for the time being, he's just pushing forward more. A couple of Widow Mines are going to start detonating. Nerchio hugging up on the infantry just to try and get a bit of splash, friendly fire-wise. A lot of Overseers there, just trying to get a good look on where are all the Widow Mines, how can I take them out. But still, Polt is pushing in. He's got a good supply advantage here. And I think he is actually looking to be the favour of this engagement. Nice little engagement, though, from Nerchio, trying to split the army off on its side. And engaging in small clumps is good, but he is committing himself very far forward. These Ultras are about to get sandwiched by a huge group of Marauders, which are 3-3, and now we are just seeing these Ultras take so much damage. Nerchio down to just 75 supply, and Nerchio leaves the game. So, that just shows that if you leave a Terran player and allow him to get a decent army up, he can get very strong. Nerchio was quite slow taking a 4th, and Polt did such an amazing job taking that out. But that is the game, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you did enjoy it. Let me know what you think. Is Terran late game a bit too strong? Leave a comment below, of course, send me a tweet. I am Madals. I get games up daily, so make sure you subscribe, and I'll catch you all tomorrow for yet another new cast. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.